There are several ways to participate. For those attending in person, there are 3 options to sign up to speak. Number 1, complete a yellow request to speak slip and hand it to the clerk. Number 2, sign in using the iPad at the back of the council chamber. Or 3, scan the QR code to sign up. The code is located on a sign at the back of the chamber. If participating remotely, use the raise your hand feature in Zoom and you'll be called on at the appropriate time. If calling in via telephone, press *9 to raise your hand, and when called upon, press *6 to unmute. These options for public comment will remain available until I close the public comment period for that specific item. So tonight we have one item in the study session. It is the B Street Pedestrian Mall, and we have Jennifer Chen here to present. And we're discussing community events at the B Street Pedestrian Mall. Thank you, Jennifer.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. It is very nice to see you in person again. As the Mayor has said, this is a presentation about the special community events in the Pedestrian Mall. When COVID started in 2020, the City Manager's Office decided to postpone hosting any special community events in order to limit the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic, and also in order to obey the different rules related to state, federal, and county mandates. Staff is proposing to host an event series again in the Pedestrian Mall in the fall of 2020, and we are seeking council feedback. So just to rewind a little bit, in 2019, we hosted September Nights on B. The event series celebrated San Mateo's 125th birthday. There was a comedic skit about the first city council meeting that opened the series. It was located on B Street between 2nd and 3rd Avenues. It was held on Thursday evenings on September 5th, 12th, and 19th from 5 to 8 p.m. There are different components to the 2019 September Nights on B series. We had trivia time. We gave out live tchotchkes to people who participated. We had a different live music band each week. There was a stage, a dance floor. The local dance school downtown provided free dance instruction to attendees. The city provided community tables and chairs for attendees to come and utilize and get takeout and patronize the downtown establishments. There was a beer and wine booth. There was a children's play area, and then there was community booths. The cost related to hosting September Nights on B was approximately $120K. It was about $40K each night. The Downtown San Mateo Association was the largest sponsor at $25K. It's a downtown bid. The Chamber of Commerce operated a beer and wine booth as a fundraiser event for its operations. We do have $100K budgeted for the event series that we're proposing. And we'll be seeking external partners as well. So what was the community and business support like for the event? I'm happy to say that around 1,000 attendees attended the event series and brought back their friends and family each week. Staff went out to survey the businesses on the core street that it was held and around the adjacent streets to see how the event impacted their business. And it was, for the businesses along the block, it was really well received. Many of the businesses felt immediate increase in revenue from that night, from this event series. Businesses further out from B Street were less impacted by the event. Now, what we're proposing to host will be, this fall, will be similar to what we held for September Nights on B. We are proposing to have it held on the Pedestrian Mall between the 1st and 3rd Avenues. We will again need Parks and Rec assistance to provide a children's activity area and booking live entertainment each week. Public Works will be needed to support cleaning before and after the event. We will need a portable electrical generator and event signages to be put up related to the event. Staff will also need to hire event management company for the logistics related to setting up the stage each week, the dance floor, and the community tables and chairs, both the setup and the removal. The cost for the event will likely remain similar or even potentially a little bit higher due to the increased cost for the stage and dance floor setup, rentals of tables and chairs, and just a general cost of inflation since 2019. And how will this year be different? One of the biggest differences this year is that we will not need to close the street because those 2 blocks that the event was held on is already closed. But it's likely we will need to help businesses move their outdoor dining furniture off the site in order to host the community tables and chairs.
I'm sorry, Jennifer, could you speak a little bit louder for me, please?
Sure. We will not need to close the street, but we'll need to help businesses store the outdoor dining furniture off-site potentially. We don't know how inconvenienced the restaurants will be by the community tables and chairs. Basically, their private dining areas will be shrunk to just the sidewalk areas. I will have the space for the businesses. And tonight, I'm seeking council feedback to know, does council want to host a special event series this fall on the Pedestrian Mall on B Street? Does council want 1, 2, or 3 events? Does the city council want all of the events to be held on a weekday evening, a weekend afternoon, or both? Does city council want the event to be held on B Street between 2nd and 3rd Avenues, on B Street between 1st and 2nd Avenues, on both blocks, or alternate the event between the 2 blocks? And then are there any elements of the event that council recommends adjusting? That's my presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me bring it back and see if council members have any comments, questions, actually.
Questions. Yeah. Thank you, Jennifer. I can't believe it's been
2 years.
As long as it's been.
Yeah.
And fond memories, definitely. So I have a question. If we were to limit it between 1st and 2nd on B Street, that would not interfere with quite as many parklets, right?
The outdoor dining areas, yes. Well, currently there are only 2 potentially up to 3 businesses that's using the street for outdoor dining. But I don't know if between now and the fall, if more businesses will be using it, and we are going to be encouraging more businesses to activate the street and apply for a Ped Mall sidewalk dining permit.
So my thinking was, if we limited it to between 1st and 2nd, and come the fall, there isn't those additional parklets. Would it be possible, you know how in Central Park, when we had the music series, we've allowed people that have restaurants in downtown to have a booth? And because I think one of the things you mentioned in your report was where we had the street closed off, yes, those restaurants saw an increase in volume, but not throughout the downtown. So I was trying to figure out a way that we could incorporate perhaps more of the businesses by doing a booth for their food and doing it in the segment that is less occupied by parklets. That was a long question, but you get the gist.
Yes. So for the food booth, it is likely that businesses will actually consider doing us a favor to host a booth there.
I didn't quite hear you. If you could say that one more time.
For a food booth, it's likely that businesses would think that they're doing us a favor to host a booth along the strip because there is cost related to hosting a booth and permits related to getting the health permit to have a booth, and they have to hire extra staff to do it, and they may not be 100% certain that it would be a high return. I know that for the Central Park series, they always feel like they're doing it as a supporting the community. So if we were to look at having the businesses who are not located on the block to facilitate them having a booth. We will also need to likely help them with the tents as well as the permits, as well as potentially even seeing if they need any additional stipends for participating. I don't know, but that's typically, I think, a minimum that they would likely need.
Okay, well, that's something I'd kind of be interested in, because I would like to spread around the wealth, as it were, that comes from having these events.
Yeah, there are other ways to get to that. Businesses can participate through their Toast app. If they have an online, if they have a Toast, people can attend and basically order off of Toast, and then they can walk over and deliver the food to them, because we're providing the tables and chairs.
Or the particular proprietor could have somebody do delivery.
Right. Or we could potentially get the volunteers to do that, pick up and drop off.
Uh-huh.
But it would take some logistical planning on our staff side. But I just don't, I think that might be a easier way of getting to what you want, of getting more businesses to participate, than having staff set up a limited number of tables and chairs, a limited number of booths too, because we can only have maybe, I don't know, 10 to 20, because if we have the booths, then we can't have as many tables, and we'll have space for stage.
Okay. Okay, so that might be something worth exploring then. And maybe our volunteers could do that. That would, I can see what you're saying, that it would be easier than doing a booth. But okay, well, if we could just explore that, because my goal is to kind of spread the wealth. I know the DSMA was really supportive of this project, but didn't find that all of its members were really benefiting. So I was trying to figure out a way that we could maybe enhance what we're doing. But maybe more questions, and then I can answer your things. I won't do it now.
Thank you very much. Councilwoman Lee?
Yeah, I really like the direction that Deputy Mayor Pepin is going with figuring out how we can bring other businesses or business to other businesses. And I guess I had a question about, is attendance over those several weeks, did you see it sort of scaling up, or sort of leveled out across all weeks? Or I'm just curious to hear.
It definitely grew on a weekly basis. I think it basically topped out about around 1,000, because the street was packed.
Mm-hmm.
It was really busy. I don't think we could have fit more people.
Okay. And then is there a cost savings if we were to do a sequential series, like a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday, because there would be less setup and breakdown?
There could be, related to the stage and the dance floor.
Okay. Well, I think, that's of interest to me, because it accomplishes.
However, as the assistant city manager was reminding me, there's also security issues related to that too. So we may have to pay for, it's unsure. We have to look at getting extra security to make sure that's not damaged, the tables, the chairs, and also the dance floor, the stage.
Okay, I think it would be interesting to cost out both options. I mean, it's not, if it's not significant, but it also, it's like a factor to consider.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I had a couple of questions, because I was really wondering about the nature of what the restaurant and shop owners will be having on the street during normal times on those two blocks between first and second and third. Because in my mind, I kind of had sort of a separation of the way things are going to work downtown. I was seeing on those pedestrian mall settings, like tables, chairs, umbrellas, and the word parklet, which is, what we've been seeing in front of some of the businesses, I envisioned being like on other blocks where a store.
That's correct. That it's tables, chairs, and umbrellas along the closed streets, and parklets along everywhere else in the city that's allowed. Okay, good. So I think that if that's the case, then for us to be able to actually have our events, there's not really a lot of, there's nothing built that
the businesses have to move away?
The businesses have outdoor dining furniture that they don't have space to store indoors.
Right.
So in order to, they have spoke to us about this, in order to facilitate the special events, they will likely need to find a place to store their outdoor dining furniture.
Okay.
And therefore, in order to service them and help them, staff is basically thinking about offering ability to get storage areas to help them move them into pods and then shift them off site while we host these events and then bring it back to them possibly.
Okay. Right. Well, I think that's a good thing to try to work out with them, because that would, I mean, that was what I heard in terms of some complaints from some businesses regarding, the possibility of having these events, which, by the way, I think are, a great idea. I would really like to get back to having some sorts of city-sponsored outdoor activities on these streets, especially since now this is the way these streets are going to be going forward. So, yeah, I would definitely be in favor of working to try and help those businesses make those arrangements to move and store stuff and then bring it back, so that then we, the city, can have the public streets for the public use,
right.
in a grander way, I think.
Right.
Okay, good. Well, then I think if there are no other questions here, we'll go to public comment. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comment?
Mr. Mayor, we don't have any hands raised at this time. If you were in person and you wanted to comment, please submit a speaker slip. If you're on Zoom, please raise your hand. And while we're giving that a moment, I would like to stipulate for the record that we have a quorum of council here with Councilmember Lee, Deputy Mayor Pappen, and Mayor Bonilla, and Rodriguez and Goethals are absent due to planned vacations.
Okay, thank you very much. So I'm guessing no public comments.
I have no hands raised.
Thank you very much. Bringing it back to the council then. Any final comments you would like to make? And please, Deputy Mayor.
I can just answer the questions. Want to host a special event series for the fall? Yes. Number one, yes. I don't know. I guess I'm a little bit. I understand the sequential concept and the suggestion. I don't know. I kind of like I know it's more expensive, but I like the repetition of maybe Thursday nights each time. Because then you might hit different crowds too. I mean, if somebody's gone for the whole weekend, they would have never seen what it was like. But I know that can be expensive. So I'm open to that, but I think my preference is, 3 different times. Do you want all events to be held on weekday? I kind of like the Thursday evening, but I'm amenable to whatever the group wants. Does the city council want the event to be held on B Street? So my thing, I'm looking for first and second to see if we can get more restaurants, but, and you might have less people having to deal with their parklets, but I'm flexible. And I told you what I wanted to see change to try to include more people.
So did you want both streets or just one street as well?
My preference is to have between first and second, but it's not a hard and fast thing for me. And I feel like if come the fall, you don't have a lot of additional parklets, maybe we focus it on first and second. Sure. That way we're not, I don't want to say inconveniencing, but we're not compelling people to bring in all the things from their parklet. So outdoor dining areas. I mean, it was nice to have the movie theater plaza if you needed a stage, but you might be able to reconfigure on first and second and be A-okay. Yes. And again, we're talking about outdoor dining sidewalk areas. I beg your pardon? Outdoor dining areas along the closed pedestrian mall, not parklets. Outdoor dining areas. For the pedestrian mall? Yes. You're referring to them as parklets. I was just clarifying that they're outdoor dining areas in general. Got it. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Outdoor dining areas. Correction noted. Thank you. Yeah. Got it.
Thank you. Councilmember Lee?
Yes, to number one. I think, I think more is better. I'm excited to see the city program the spaces, and I think that there's a lot of good learning that we can do in the outdoor dining area and how to kind of coexist as a community space. And so I would err on the side of 3. And I don't have a very, strong preference. I'd say, because we got feedback from families and younger families, maybe a earlier start time, having, some programming starting around 3 when school gets out, or 3:30, and going later, or having one of the days fall on a weekend, I think is beneficial, just for, for the flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to make sure that we're accommodating working families in the schedule. And let's see, I guess, well, for me, it's sort of, there's a part of me that wants to use the space between 2nd and 3rd Avenue, maybe having, music and stage there, and allowing the restaurants to operate as usual. I mean, just thinking sort of like in a different program format, where we provide sort of the entertainment and use the median, or the middle road, and then encourage businesses to serve and keep their tables along 2nd and 3rd, and then maybe have a more robust version between 1st and 2nd. So I think planning a party from the dais is probably not the intention here, but I'm curious to figure out if there's a way to structure the programming to kind of utilize the businesses and the business furniture that's already there, and not create this sort of extra layer of logistics and cost, and delivering furniture offsite. So I think that that's a question and an idea worth exploring. But again, I'll leave it to the party planners. And are there any elements of the event that I recommend? I mean, for me, I really hope that we can bring music and dance and art to the space, and so and food. So those are for me the high notes.
Through the mayor, if I may just respond to the 2nd and 3rd Avenue question. So if we were to leave the private outdoor dining installations in place, pretty much the rest of the open area would be the stage, other than the path that people travel through. So we certainly can do that and provide live entertainment, but the only available seating or place to be would be under the private control of the restaurants. So you wouldn't really be able to just come and enjoy the music unless you were dining at those restaurants. So that's just a consideration. So it would sort of benefit the patrons at those restaurants, but not really be available to the rest of the public to participate in if you weren't spending money at a business on that block. Just because the spacing is very limited once their seating areas are
There's
laid
only
out.
a limited area.
I guess I wonder, because we're only talking about, maybe 10 restaurants, right? Or less.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm wondering, is there a way for us to say, hey, we instead of moving all of your furniture, how about we designate 3 out of, 6 of your tables for community space, and then you have 3 tables that you serve from, for your restaurant. I mean, I wonder if there's ways to approach it that we can create usable community space.
I can speak with the businesses and inquire a little bit on how we can make it a little bit more open, but it may change how their service would be that night, and that's something we haven't figured out yet for this event.
Yeah, I mean, if it is insurmountable and creates too much logistical effort, I think that Deputy Mayor Pappin's idea of keeping it simple on 1st and 2nd is the way to go. But I guess I'm thinking about this sort of in the long term of how we want to have a city program event series and programs ongoing, for generations that will need to somehow coordinate and coexist with these businesses. So I do feel like these are the conversations that are worth having now, so we can start setting some models and precedents.
We can definitely look into this.
Okay, thank you. I want to say that I think that as we look at working with this new paradigm of the way we use B Street on these blocks, it's going to be a learning experience. And we're going to probably start off thinking we're going to do things one way and maybe evolve into doing things a different way. That's going to work out better for the businesses and even for the people. So in terms of number one, I would say, yes, I want to host special event series during the fall. Number two, I think in terms of the number of events, yes, I would like to see at least one, but possibly as many as 3 events, depending on what type of events we may be able to offer. I think there's a wide variety of events. I know there are some community groups that would like to have a chance also to be able to do some things that maybe have been done at Central Park before. That might be able to be done on B Street instead. Maybe it'll be a different kind of venue and perhaps an improvement. In terms of weekday evenings or weekend afternoons, I think we should stay open on that, because some events are definitely better on weekend afternoons when people are not working. It's daytime, they can bring the kids. Weekday evenings, people come home from work, and I know we saw good attendance before, but I'm not sure if we could do better, really. Okay, so I would keep that open, like I say, some flexibility going into the future. I think I like the setting that we had before at the Theater Plaza, because I think it provides better room for circulation of the public. Instead of just being all one, directional street, the public can come in from the Main Street alley behind along the front of the theater and occupy the plaza, as well as occupying the street. So I think both blocks should be able to be utilized depending on the size and type of event. I think it will vary. It doesn't always have to be on the block between second and third. First and second is perfectly viable for certain types and sizes of events. And in terms of the last question here, what I would say is I would like to try and eliminate the movement, the actual moving, storing, and moving back between events of the business owner's property there. If we could possibly seek to consolidate some events, so maybe they happen in a row, but I see an issue with moving things for like every Thursday, right? Because that means you're moving stuff out, moving it back, moving it out, moving it back, unless you find a way to have the owners be invested in some sort of a negotiated shared use of their own equipment, right? And that's something that might or might not be possible. I don't know. But so those are my thoughts.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you very much. Well, I think that was the only item that we had on our agenda for tonight. So if that being the case, unless any council members have any other comments or any staff has any additional comments, I'll be adjourning this meeting. We will rejoin with the regular meeting at 7 p.m. Thank you all for attending.